Hello, my name is Callum Sly, and welcome to my digital guide. I will first look at global trends surrounding mobile devices before then turning an eye to my own context, Australia. Finally, I will be exploring a range of educational theories and linking these with 5 mobile devices that are applicable to sports science. There are a few key trends in terms of global mobile device use. Firstly, there has been, and currently still is, an exponential rise in the amount of people using mobile devices. This is illustrated by this graph from the Business Insider. Furthermore, by 2020, there will be 34 billion mobile devices, or in other words, 4 per person. To understand how this saturation of devices will have an impact globally, we must first look at a few key terms. Simply put, affordances are what a mobile device is actually capable of and the functions it can perform. On the other hand, affordability is the actual cost of obtaining said mobile device. Depending on your own cultural context, these two terms will determine the types of mobile devices you will be using. The developing world includes countries like India, the Middle East, and some African nations. The developing world often struggle with logistical issues, cultural barriers, and a common belief that mobile devices can't be used for education. This means, however, that there is a huge potential for change. In contrast, the developed world, for example Australia, the US, and England, all have greater access to smartphones that are able to connect to the wider internet. The developed world is often willing to accept mobile devices in education, and is always aiming to constantly innovate and discover new frontiers. My cultural context is Australia, a developed nation. Australia has attempted to teach mobile device literacy early in life, with preschool children being exposed to high affordance devices like smartphones and tablets from a young age. Specifically at UWA, mobile devices have been attempted to supplement education with the introduction of the LMS, Unify, and lecture capture systems. My field of study is sports science. I will attempt to discover both current and perhaps future uses for the following mobile devices. Sports science students already use mind maps. They present an opportunity for social constructivism, whereby a group of people work together to deliver creative solutions to a problem. In sports science, mind maps can be used to create new project ideas, as well as to produce ideas on how to solve these newfound research goals. This can be a social task, and one that mind maps would certainly enhance. Here I have an example mind map I created during the semester, highlighting the varying uses of mobile technologies. Notice the use of colour to distinguish between ideas. QR codes are heavily underutilized and are easy to create and use. QR codes exhibit situated learning, whereby the learner is educated on a topic while physically in that context. Applicable to sports science, QR codes could be placed in gyms. Scanning the QR code would take the user to a video of how to perform the lift correctly. QR codes also have a role to play in sports marketing and engagement. For example, Portsmouth FC has QR codes at their stadium. They take the patrons to a site where they can vote on their choice of man of the match. With mobile devices, apps have continued to increase in number. I've chosen apps that exhibit a behaviourist theory to education. Behaviorism is learning that involves behaviour modification with the supply or removal of rewards or punishments. I have chosen the app Quizlet, which can be used by sports science students to create their own quizzes to test themselves on heavy content areas, especially anatomy. If given answers are correct, students are rewarded with further encouragement. Students can also turn to pure anatomy apps, including Discover Human Body and Essential Anatomy 5, that offer varying levels of affordances and affordability. Ebooks allow students to not only carry around multiple textbooks on their tablet or phone, but they can take them with them to the field or labs. This is extremely useful for sports science students, as they are often learning outside or in the lab. Ebooks exhibit a very traditional learning style, namely information transmission. This is where the learner is treated like an empty vessel, and the ebook will provide the information they require. As ebooks become more used in education, they will develop higher affordances and become more interactive. Augmented reality involves overlaying extra information onto the user's actual physical surroundings. AR is a form of embodied learning. This is a holistic perspective of learning that actively engages students and allows students to solve their own problems. AR is already being used by sports broadcasters to overlay stats and figures onto sports grounds, as shown here, but it can also be used by students to learn how to use more sophisticated lab equipment or visualize human anatomy. This is possible when using products like Google Cardboard with the Complete Anatomy AR app, which superimpose a 3D model right in front of you. These are the references I have used. There is a range of academic papers, journal articles, web pages, and photos. I had 2 peer reviews. The reviews, as well as my alterations, are also outlined. Thank you for listening, and I hope I've shed some light on the booming field of mobile devices. I hope that I've lit the spark for you to consider where mobile devices can be used in the future of sports science.